I did respect him. I don't respect him anymore because he say I'm not gonna do what they want me to do and this and that.
There's no chance. But then I watched it the next one. I was like, he actually did way better than I thought he would have did. But please forget, Jake Paul rostered Ohio State wrestling, so he's tough. He's not as good boxer, as good skill, but he's tough.
Jake Paul beat Anthony Joshua. That's insane. That's not real. That's not real in any facet. There was never a chance. There's never a chance.
Canelo Alvarez humiliated Jake Paul after his fight with Anthony Joshua, saying he should stop pretending to be a real boxer. He mocked Jake for trying to step into a world far beyond his level, insisting he stick to what he actually is instead of copying professional fighters. Canelo made it clear that Jake's attempts in boxing were laughable and that he shouldn't act like someone he's obviously not.
It's right, but you need to do your best or do what you do, not try to be something else. Just do your best as a person. Sometimes it's enough, sometimes for
Jake Paul stood no chance against Anthony Joshua, yet even he was surprised by how long Jake lasted. Jake showed toughness, likely from his wrestling background, and survived by playing it safe rather than trying to win. Still, this is where it should stop. Taking repeated heavy shots, broken jaws, and brutal mismatches is too much now. This isn't sustainable or smart. Even White makes it clear that if he faced Jake, it wouldn't last long. Jake proved toughness, but continuing down this path only risks serious.
But then I watched it the next one. I was like, he actually did way better than I thought he would have did. But please forget, Jake Paul rostered Ohio State wrestling, so he's tough. He's not as good boxer, as good skill, but he's tough. Wrestling is a very competitive sport in America, and to be a Ohio State wrestling level, you have to be they're physically tough and physically strong. So yeah, he was tough. That's why he survived in there. He did what he had to do in there. He got tagged with a few shots, and he did extremely well. AJ did poor.
In those situations where the fighter is that negative and had those kind of tactics, he went to ground a few times, etc. I don't think people quite understand it. It doesn't matter who you are. It's quite difficult. People expect AJ within 20 seconds to literally, with the first punch thrown or the first jab thrown, just to knock him out. It's not that easy, is it, when a fighter is kind of going in there to just survive?
It's always easier to beat someone that's coming to win than someone that's in there to survive. But they should know that. They should know that Jake Paul is never going to come to win. But it's just mad that AJ couldn't cut the ring off. He just made him run. He couldn't cut the ring off and hit with punches, and he was swinging and missing a few times. And obviously Jake Paul was hitting with a few punches. I was like, I was surprised that I was surprised that it took so much runs to get him out of there. And then when he did knock him out, he didn't knock him out. He broke his jaw and stuff, but Jake was alright. He just sort of got up and just said, my jaw is broken. He didn't get struck. I was kind of surprised. I was very surprised. Because that right hand was a big one. I thought, damn, okay. He took it and got up. So maybe Jake is a physically tougher and stronger person than people think he is.
I'm assuming you don't blame Joshua for the money being talked about, 40-50 million, for doing that. No.
No. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. I'll fight Jake Paul next if he wants it. I'll take that. But I'll go after him though. I'll tell you what, I'll definitely put him away 1 or 2 rounds. No way he's getting past that. Because that's like that's such a big moral victory for Jake.
Has acknowledged that Jake Paul has actually improved since his earlier fights, showing better technique, timing, and resilience in the ring. He admitted that Jake's progress is noticeable and his determination is commendable. However, Canelo made it clear that despite these improvements, Jake should call it quits now. He's already taken on more than he should, facing opponents far beyond his level and risking serious injury. Canelo emphasized that continuing this path isn't wise, and Jake has done enough to prove himself. It's time for him to step back and stop while he still can. Canelo Alvarez has often mocked Jake Paul's choice of opponents, pointing out that he tends to face retired or non-competitive fighters rather than serious professionals. His remarks highlight the perception that Jake's matches are more spectacle than legitimate competition. When jokingly asked whether he would ever consider a fight with Jake, Canelo responded with humor, suggesting that the only conceivable time might be when Jake reaches 50 years old. This tongue-in-cheek comment underscores Canelo's view of Jake's current place in boxing, emphasizing the gap between mainstream champions and celebrity-driven matchups while maintaining a
He improved more and he do a really good job. Believe I say this and serious. I hope he doing really good job and improve in boxing and it's fine.
Would you ever entertain a Jake Paul fight?
Not right now. Let's see later when I have like a 50 years old.
Out that expecting Jake Paul to defeat Anthony Joshua is pure fantasy. While Jake shows surprising power for someone around 200 pounds, his abilities still fall far short of elite heavyweight standards. The gap in experience, technique, and physical conditioning between him and top-tier fighters like Joshua is enormous. Schaub stresses that no amount of hype or social media attention can bridge that divide. Jake's efforts inside the ring are commendable in terms of heart and determination, but realistically, he remains outmatched. The notion that he could compete at the highest level of professional boxing is unrealistic, highlighting the huge difference between internet fame.
Anthony Joshua, that's insane. That's not real. That's not real in any facet. There was never a chance. There's never a chance. And the Jake Paul fans, and I was getting this a ton from DMs and comments going, well, everyone has a puncher's chance. That's an uneducated opinion. A puncher's chance, yes. If they're in a bar and Anthony Joshua's there at the pub and Jake Paul were to sneak up behind him and hit him in the back of the head or, in the side or something, maybe, even then, he's a little light in the ass, but maybe that's a puncher's chance. In a professional bout where a professional fighter at the level of Anthony Joshua is at, and he is going into a ring knowing and expecting to get hit, there is no puncher's chance when there's that much discrepancy in talent level. There's not. Especially when the size difference. And some of you will say, Jake Paul hits hard. To you, yes, to you. But also, Jake Paul hits hard for a 200-pound man. He wouldn't even measure in the top 1,000 professional heavyweight boxers in the world as far as the strength knockout meter, if there is such a thing. It's not possible. So a lot of you were tuning in for saying, well, he has a puncher's chance. That's not real. That doesn't exist here. And now they could do this, but I don't think it's going to get the same amount of views, but it would set expectations. If, when this fight was announced, Jake Paul's team said, hey, we're fighting Anthony Joshua, who thinks we can last 8 rounds? Who thinks we can go all 8 rounds? Who thinks Jake Paul can go 8 rounds and